What's going on, everybody? This is Darren Wong representing the Kinjas, and in this video we're going to learn a breaking freeze called the handstand. Alright, so whether you're new to the channel or you've been previously watching my videos, go ahead and do me a favor and check out my Patreon page. I'll leave a link in the description box below. It really helps fund these videos and helps me keep creating them. Alright, so there's many videos out there about how to do a handstand, and this is just my interpretation about how I learned how to do a handstand and how I teach my students, but by all means, do your research and check out other people's techniques and see which ones work best for you. Alright, so the first thing I tell my students about the handstand is just mostly about getting over the fear of being upside down. Once you get over the fear of being upside down, then you'll trust yourself to kick higher and hold yourself up longer versus just being scared and giving up halfway. Alright, so I'm going to give you a drill to help you get over that fear in a few seconds, but first I want to cover the basic techniques and foundation of what the handstand is. Alright, so for most breaking freezes, there's a center point that you want to put all your center of gravity over. Now for the handstand, it's going to be the line over your shoulder and your wrist. So for this one, you want to focus on similar how I said in footwork techniques, but you want to have your shoulder in line with your wrist. Same thing goes for the handstand. So we want to make sure our shoulder and wrists are in line the whole entire time. Alright, so once you get your shoulders and wrists in the correct position, then we're going to work on getting your hips right on top and stacked over your shoulders and wrists. So that's going to be the hard part because that's usually where the fear of getting upside down comes in. But as your hips come up, your hips will determine where you're going to go when you're upside down. So if you're going too far over, you're going to topple over back. If you don't go far enough, you're just going to fall back down. Same thing if you go side to side, you're just going to go that direction. Alright, so since we are going to be upside down, there's going to be a lot of pressure on your wrists and your shoulders. So be sure to really warm those up before you practice your handstand training. And if you don't know how to do that, just check out my previous video I did on the complete dancer's warm up before coming to this one. Alright, so before we get started, there's a few things I want to cover before we go upside down. Alright, so the first thing I want you to focus on is what your hands are doing. So once your hands are on the floor, all I want you to do is spread your fingers apart and almost act like you're gripping the floor. This is going to help maintain your balance and help you control everything with your fingers and your wrists versus having to control it with your shoulders. So your hands are very important with this, so make sure you're gripping the floor and really spreading them apart. Alright, so the second thing I want you to focus on is what your shoulders are doing. So once you're upside down, instead of just relaxing them down like this, I actually want you to think about pushing away the floor, which will cause your shoulders to go up and closer to your ears. This will create a more rigid body for yourself, and you'll have a lot more control. Alright, so the next thing is, where do you look? So when I'm looking in my handstand, this is just for me, I'm trying to picture a point between my thumbs here, and I'm looking like that. This kind of forces me not to do this with my neck or do this with my neck. I'm really just relaxing it, so I'm not tucking my chin or lifting my chin up. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is get over the fear of being upside down. So to do this, you can do this two ways. Most people, they'll face a wall and they'll go up with their back to the wall, but for me, I tell my students to go the other way. So you want to put your stomach or your chest against the wall. This will put your body into a better alignment because you get closer to the wall. Alright, so let's go ahead and get up against the wall. So what I want you to do is go ahead and take off your shoes so you don't get your wall dirty. Go ahead and go onto your knees and put your hands on the floor first. Now from here, you're going to work with your feet and just walk up the wall. Now you're trying to move your hands as close to the wall as possible. That way your body will be in perfect alignment. So again, while I'm upside down, I'm focused on where my hips are in relation to my shoulder and my wrists. Are they in line? I'm spreading my fingers apart and I'm not letting my shoulders relax. I'm pushing away from the floor, which will cause me to do this. So again, don't relax here. Just push away and just get comfortable being against the wall. And then once you feel scared, just go ahead, walk away from the wall, and then come back down. All right, so once you feel comfortable doing that a couple times, now it's time to step away from the wall. So what we're gonna do here is go very slowly and just work our way up to getting our hips up and then coming back down. All right, so the first thing you need to do is pick a launching leg, okay? So for me, I like to kick off with my right leg. So I have my right leg in front. If you like to kick off with your left leg, have your left leg in front, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is gonna feel a little bit silly, but it'll help you put your body into position first, okay? So I'm gonna raise my arms, making sure I'm not shrugging, but I'm really pushing away from the ground. I have my right leg in front because that's my kickoff leg. All I want you to do is go down to the floor, lift that back leg, and go ahead and put your wrists and your shoulders in alignment. Okay, so from here, you're really focusing on this line being straight and not reaching out too far where it's angled. So again, I'm here, I set up, I'm not shrugging. Again, I'm pushing up all the way. I go down and I'm focusing on my wrists and shoulders being in alignment. All right, so for some of my students, that's pretty hard to do because they don't have the flexibility. So what I tell them to do is the same concept, but I let them go ahead and lift off a little bit just so they can feel their shoulders and their wrists into alignment, okay? So again, if you're kicking off with your right leg, I set up with my shoulders high, I'm going down, and once you can't touch the ground, go ahead and go up with your foot and then come back down. So again, we're really just trying to focus on this line between our wrist and our shoulder and not doing anything with our hips yet, okay? So again, you go down to the floor. If you can't touch it yet, go ahead and kick up and then come back down. Okay, so once you feel comfortable doing that a couple times and you're really making sure that your wrist and shoulder are in line, now we're gonna work on trying to get our hips up over that line and then coming back down. So we're not focusing on holding it yet, it's just getting the feeling of how your hips are in relation to your wrist and your shoulder. So you're gonna sit up the same exact way. You're gonna go down and try to figure out where your wrists and shoulders are in line first. Now from here, all I'm doing really is I'm focusing on my hips coming up over myself and then coming back down. So this is gonna take a little bit of practice to find that perfect balance, but go ahead and just kick lightly first and then come back down. So I'm here, making sure this is in alignment. I kick up and then come back down. So again, I try again, making sure my wrists and my shoulders are in line. Kick up and then come back down. All right, so as you're doing this much of the handstand training, I really encourage you to start recording yourself so you start seeing where your hips are in relation to that line between your wrist and your shoulders. You won't really know it until you see it, and then once you see it, then you can start kicking a little harder or maybe a little softer depending on where your hips are going. All right, so once you start to understand that alignment between your wrists, shoulders, and your hips, now it's time to try to hold it. So again, like all freezes, I usually tell my students, when you get to the top, breathe out and flex everything in your body. So make sure every muscle is flexed, that way your body is more rigid and you won't feel as heavy, okay? So I'm gonna turn this way. Again, I'm gonna set up the same exact way. So again, I'm not shrugging down, I'm pushing away from the floor. I'm gonna put my hands down first, making sure my wrists and shoulders are in line. I kick up, and then I come back down. So again, one more time, I go up, making sure the alignment's there, and then come back down. All right, so the more and more you just practice doing that, the stronger you'll become to hold your handstand and the more control and understanding you will have being upside down. So again, once you kick off, try to flex everything in your body, trying to keep everything in line, and then come back down and rest and try it again. All right, so like all freezes, the last thing you wanna do once you get one leg position is you wanna practice different leg positions. So the ones I normally tell my students to do is a tucked position, your legs open, your legs closed, and both legs scissored either way. Alright, so that's all for this one. The main thing I really want you to focus on is making sure that your wrists and your shoulders are in line first before you start kicking off and trying your handstand. So don't get sloppy with your handstand training where you start reaching out too far, because it's going to take way more work to align yourself first before you even kick off. So really focus on getting your wrists and your shoulders planted first, and then focus on kicking up into your handstand. Alright, so as always, if you liked the video, go ahead and do me a favor. Like this video, share it with at least 3 of your friends, and subscribe to my channel. And go ahead and leave a comment in the comment box below, and let me know if you're having any troubles with your handstand. That way I can try to help you out. I'll see you in the next one. And you're... you get... This is right. Alright.